Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and I've got to start out by saying that this was not how today was supposed to go. Oh, my camera also. That is not how my camera is supposed to go. Hold on. But either way, I don't care. Whatever. Team security. Next topic. Team security. So this is not a change in the rules, but as they put it, it's a clarification in the rules. So we're going to just kind of tiptoe across this and see what we see. So as you might remember, in the summer, we released a team security update where we talked about RMTers, botters, frauds, and other related topics, blah, blah, blah. So they're trying to talk about some of the rules and policies to clarify and discuss the EULA and make it more clear. So again, none of this should be taken as consideration as to being considered as a change in policy. This is simply a clarification of the rules based on commonly held misconceptions, which, for the record, CCP needs to make more of these blogs about all of the things, but I digress. So, as far as account sharing, it says, you may not share your account with anyone or allow anyone other than you personally or your minor child, if you've registered an account on behalf of your minor child, to access or use your account. Joint or shared ownership of, or use of an account by more than one user is prohibited. And then the rumors are, if I share an account with my beloved friend, the vigilantes from Team Security will ban me at once. Or nothing will ever happen if I share my login details with that guy I totally know and trust. So they say that in reality, account sharing is a complex topic. We do not encourage it, but it's also not something that we actively pursue. Essentially, sharing an account is not a problem for Team Security until it is. It can seem natural to trust a friend to organize your skill queue when you're away, or to get you ready for an important fight, etc. But the more people have access to your account, the higher the chance that a very unfortunate situation will occur. Account sharing can go unnoticed for many years, and there might be no issues at all. But then there have been thousands of cases when a character that was shared for many years became a source of quick cash or got into another position permanently. And this is where the problem starts, right? So this is actually an interesting point. So what they're suggesting is that if you, like, there's a lot of ideas of like, oh, you know, like I got banned because we logged in from the same IP or whatever, right? Like what they're suggesting here is that they don't actively pursue, hunt down, or seek out people who are account sharing. And it's also worth noting that they're looking at this solely from the focus of accounts being, I guess, acted upon, scammed, or destroyed by these things, stolen. But this means that this isn't like the idea of somebody sharing an account to make it so that they can run a character 24/7 or 23/7 isn't really addressed here, which I find really interesting. Whether or not they see that that's a legitimate problem, especially with some of the characters. It's maybe not necessarily as big of a problem as it used to be. Like, you know, when Alliance had a Titan within them, and so like multiple people had the credentials for the Titan character, so that way multiple people could potentially use it. The question is, would that situation be considered to be a problem in and of itself to Team Security, or does it have to result in some sort of problem within the account? So again, they show here that their focus here is on extracted accounts, extracted skill points, and hacked accounts. They said that the character with the highest number of skill points that was destroyed in August had 260 million skill points. That means, hold on. That's more skill points than Ashtarothi. That character is older than Ashtarothi, or was. Still talking about snow. Got it. ISK buying. You may not transfer, sell, or auction, or buy or accept or any offer to transfer, sell, or auction any content appearing within the game environment, including without limitation, characters, character attributes, items, currency, and objects, other than via permanent character transfer. The buying, selling, or auctioning, or other attempt at doing so of characters, character attributes, items, currency, or objectives, whether through online auctions, news groups, postings, or message boards of any other means, is prohibited by the EULA and violations of CCP's property rights in the game. So what this means is you're not allowed to, I'm not allowed to sell you my skins for cash, right? I'm not allowed to offer ISK to anybody who's a member within my YouTube channel. In fact, I'm not even allowed to do it. I'm not even allowed to give away ISK to a random person selected from the people that are subscribed to, or, you know, members to my YouTube channel, for example. I can't give a special skin to only my patrons, you know, any of that kind of stuff. But most specifically, you're not allowed to sell ISK. It doesn't matter if it's on a forum or eBay or wherever, right? The rumors are nothing will happen to me if I buy ISK from this cool looking website, and will get a ship that I've always dreamed of. This is just another fellow player earning money by selling their excess wealth, and no one will ever know. So this is RMT. This right here is the biggest, like, this is one of the biggest problems in EVE. Like, as in, like, this is one of the single most destructive thing to the EVE ecosystem is RMT and its impact in each direction. So there is a legitimate way to buy ISK in EVE, which is to buy Plex and sell it for ISK. And so people should do it that way. If a website offers you a better deal, then that's probably not great. Not only is it like, not only are they going to potentially rip that ISK away from you, and you could potentially get in trouble for it, but in addition to that, this is a major vector for bad people to do bad things as well, depending on how it is that they decide to try to do the ISK transfer or other kind of transfer. All right. Whether the account gets hacked or the character... Oh, that's the other thing is that RMT, purchasing RMT is directly supporting hacking of accounts, because that's where the vast majority of the ISK for RMT come from. Maybe not vast majority, but like we saw this problem in WoW, right? But it's good to have two-factor authentication and all that sort of stuff, but obviously accounts still get hacked, and that ends up being a major source of revenue. The other source being, you know, bots and stuff. So effectively, if you're buying RMT, or if you're performing RMT, if you're buying ISK, you are contributing, you are rewarding the most hostile to the game things that people can do. So feel bad. And they also catch you. Player A has decided to purchase a shiny character from a shady website. He receives the character and everything seems to be perfect, except for after a couple days or weeks, his account gets banned. We inform player A that character was purchased. The character he purchased legitimately he thought had been taken from a hacked account and would be returned to the original owner. Even if player A paid thousands of dollars to the third party, the character still goes back to where it belongs. Player A left with neither money nor a new character. Womp, womp, womp. Yeah, don't buy shit through unofficial methods. Okay? That's basically the short of it. Here is the approximate number of bans issued. It's actually not as much as I would expect, right? I guess that's per day. I like this nice little orange credit card. Look at this credit card fraud hit. They figured something out. And then, as you can see, they do them. This is the thing about it, right? Like, they do these macro use bands in waves, because what they do is they determine the thumbprint, the fingerprint of the macro, and then try to hit everyone who's using it, and then make it so that it like detects it afterwards. And then of course you see the much more kind of constant ISK selling with only a few spikes. And these spikes are like 20 people in a day, or in this case, 80 people in a couple of days, 80 accounts. All right. Wow, bright. All right. Next, botting. But I can sell Plex for ISK, kind of disrespectful to ISK as a currency. Well, it's... Oh, well, ISK is not... No. ISK is not real money in this case. I mean, like, Icelandic kronar is, but... because ISK... You can't turn ISK into real-world value. That's the whole point. That's what it's all about. You can't cash out. Botting. You may not use your own or third-party software, macros, or stored rapid keystrokes, or any other patterns of play that facilitates acquisitions of items, currencies, objects, character attributes, rank, or status at an accelerated rate than compared with ordinary gameplay. You may not rewrite or modify the user interface or otherwise manipulate data in any way to acquire items, currency, objects, character attributes, or beneficial actions not normally acquired or achieved in the game. So, one of the things that were asked about this was... the Eve Vision? Evo Preview, I think it was. One of them, pretty popular. Where is it? Is there a... Yeah. Yeah. Evo Preview. So Evo Preview... he asked whether or not this would be allowed, as it allows you to quickly cycle between accounts. And the GM specifies that they cannot whitelist any given program, because then the program could potentially be changed. And this is something that they say all the time. And, you know, they kind of have a back and forth about it. But ultimately it comes down to the fact that CCP won't actually... endorse any given thing, most likely than not. Now, this might have actually gone on further. I haven't read the entire thing, but that's one of the things that the discussion was. And my thought was, you know, I use what is it called? My damage meters. What are you saying about crypto? Oh my god. Shoot. Let me see if I can figure it. Why is my brain falling out of my head? Peld. I use Peld to track my DPS and all that kind of stuff, to show it on stream. And so my thought was, is that going to count? And I think that the answer to that is actually pretty firmly no, because as it says here, it's focused on the acquiring of items, currency, objects, character attributes, or beneficial actions. It's not actually allowing me to do anything new. It's just processing the information that is available to me in a different way for me, right? Which could be just as easily done. It doesn't even use the client, I don't think, right? It uses just the logs. So, I don't think that that would be considered a problem. Now, it's worth noting that they have a 2-strike policy. So you could just get a three-day ban, And then we all get to find out about it, right? Like the first person that gets banned for one of these more broadly used kind of add-ons, I'm sure we'll make a big stink about it. So, but specifically macro usage, botting is shit, and don't do it. And here's the thing. I'll be straight up about this, okay? Let's real talk. Botting is like one of those things that we all know is wrong, but like if our friend is doing it, we don't say anything about it, you know? Man, I have a comparison, but I don't want everybody to be like, oh my God, you're comparing it to that. But like in a little way, it's like kind of the Me Too movement and what it exposed, right? Like there was this idea of like people were behaving this way, even though it was, everybody knew that sexual harassment was wrong. But if you found out that your friend sexually harassed somebody, you'd be like, well, he's a good dude though, right? Like, so in the same way, if your friend mentions casually that they're botting, it could very well be that like you don't want to turn them in for that. You might discourage it or whatever. But let's not make it confused. Botting is terrible. Botting is extraordinarily destructive to the game. If you are like, the problem isn't, there's two problems with botting. Okay. There's the actual mechanic of the botting. The fact that it, Eve honestly has a fairly low action per minute. So it's fairly easy to bot a lot of activities. So that's not, that's not going to be protected against. But often the botting can muscle out people because it's a competitive game. Bots can muscle out other people within that same environment, right? So if I have to actively mine and other people can just bot their mining, or better yet, if somebody makes a bot for the Abyss, well, guess what? The value of abyssal loot will go down because there are these people that are just farming it 24/7 or 23/7 with bots or whatever, right? Versus I have to actually sit there and play it in comparison, right? So another good example was emerging conduits. Emerging conduits were fantastic. Everybody loved them. They were a good time. They were good ISK, and they allowed us to theory craft in a really interesting way and compare different builds and have all kinds of different, development of understanding and all that sort of stuff. And then the bots got to it. And within a week, they had to basically shut them down because the bots had not only started to make ridiculous amounts of ISK for it, but it was hard for regular people to find sites because of the fact that the bots were so widespread, literally over a weekend. So it's not good, guys, and it sucks, and there is no innocent version of it, right? So I think that we should consider botting as socially abhorrent as, ISK buying or hacking an account or something like that, right? Like it is against the rules. It is a violation. But the other thing that's bad about it is not just the thing that it does to the game, but it's the logic that is behind it that ends up being toxic in and of itself, right? This idea that I have to, this is the only way I'm going to be able to fund my thing, right? I don't feel like ratting for that much time. Ain't nobody got time for that. I'm just going to have a bot do it, right? Like, ultimately, there's a lot of fun activities to do in Eve, and boredom is a mechanic that tells you that you've mastered what you're doing and to move on to the next thing or increase your complexity somehow. So the giving in to that idea and relegating it to a bot not only cheapens yourself, but that very philosophy spreads and cheapens the game for everybody. Because the real answer is you should find something that you enjoy doing, right? and then figure out how to make money off of that. Preferably. All right. That's enough about that. Speaking of shifty things, let's talk about reporting. The best way to report something is still a ticket. At this time, there's no email inbox being actively monitored by team security. They only take actions with in-game reports or via support tickets. If you like to report something specific, or via support ticket if you want to report something specific. If you let us know about something shady happening, please send a ticket instead of an email. They have said many times, when in doubt, submit a report. What's going on over here? No! Cluster shut down in 5 minutes. Oh, well. Did we get everything we needed out of here? I think so. Yeah. We'll swap over to Singularity. Or Tranquility, rather. One second. Multiboxing is allowed, but not input broadcasting. Correct. Yes, faction warfare bots suck. You're not sure that APM is the right metric to use for botability. Bots are great at high APM stuff. Eve is just easy to bot because of precise positioning. That's true. That may actually not be my point. The low actions per minute actually results in bots being less detectable because the behavior of a human is similar to the behavior of a bot. But I don't know if that's necessarily a fair argument to make. So either way, the point that I had is that bots are doing things that are simple tasks that can be scaled up, I guess, is the more important thing, right? That rather not that they need a lot of fast reaction or not, but more that these are incredibly simplistic algorithms that can, rat or mine or whatever. Okay. Back on Tranquility. Let's see. Man, we got to get through this. ISK selling. You may not transfer, sell, or auction, buy, or accept any offer of transfer, sell, or auction any content appearing within the game environment, including without limited to characters, character attributes, items, currency, and objects, other than via a permitted character transfer as described in Section 3 above. You may not encourage or induce any person to participate in such a prohibited transaction, the buying, selling, or auctioning of or any type of doing so of characters, character attributes, blah, 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 blah. By any means, it's prohibited to the EULA and violates CCP's proprietary rights in the game. So this is just the other side of the coin, right? Like, you're not allowed to buy ISK, you're not allowed to sell ISK. You're not allowed to buy stuff, you're not allowed to sell stuff. Cheers. I will point out, so that this does come up every once in a while, that like, oh, well, but Marquis Dragon sells stuff on his store. That's the difference. So if something is like a code that's outside of game that then gets redeemed, that could potentially get sold. Now, what does that mean for things like scope skins? I think that we probably are not allowed to do that just in general, but that could be, but that's another example of something that's done via code. All I'm saying is that there are things outside of the game that are purchased for the game that is transferable, like the stuff from the Eve Second Decade Collector's Edition box, right? Like you could theoretically sell that for cash, or at least a resale area, a place that's allowed to sell the Collector's Edition would probably be able to sell the rewards from it, just like Marquis did or does. Uh, selling a character on a third-party website is not RMT. Well, what? No, it is. I'm just going to skip over this because mostly because we've already talked quite a bit, and I think we covered a lot of this stuff in the above section. Compromised transactions. There's a high chance that the buyer will claim back the price that they paid for a character with a chargeback. Oh yeah, that's a good point. If you do sell something to somebody, they could always charge back the account and take their money back, and then nobody's going to be able to do anything about it because you were doing something already against the rules. Compromised hardware. Earlier we established that sold characters will most likely be extracted sooner or later. This actually is something that I've seen a few times, is that like somebody will sell an account and then just take it back one day. Confiscated ISK and remaining on permanently banned accounts. I'm really confused by this. I guess, does this mean that they gave out a lot of the ISK that was kept in permanently banned accounts and then they got a lot of it back? Or is this how much was gained per month? I'm not sure if I understand.
For every city